Gold Squad TV. Why are we asking Blake Griffin for his opinion on who invented super teams? Why are we even interviewing Blake Griffin at this point? You're a washed up role player, bro. And when you're prime, I used to defend you. That 2014-15 season, you had a great season. Chris Paul went out. You almost led the team to the finals until y'all collapsed in that second round against Houston, against your current teammate. But it kills me. It kills me, man, right? These players, man, this generation of guys have no like, I swear, man, not so much the generation that's in now, like the Jaylen Browns and the team. I'm not talking about them. I'm not talking about Zions. I'm not talking about those guys. I'm talking about this LeBron generation. From 2003, you were drafted from 2003 to like 2011, man. Y'all some clowns, man. Y'all don't have any. Y'all be trying to act like you're being some cutting edge defining unit of people saying, we don't need to have the owners dictate it. We're the players that dictate what the league. Y'all need to stop it, man. Some of y'all are clowns. Y'all to me, it's like you guys want to look at this as a business, and that's fine. No problem looking at it as a business. But why do y'all care so much about ownership? Why do y'all care so much about the owners? Why do y'all care so much about that? Y'all players. Be players. Y'all want to have brands and do all this other stuff. That's fine. But you understand that how much revenue you're bringing into some of these small markets? How much revenue you bringing into some of these big markets? How much revenue you're bringing in the cities and inner cities and these places that you do charities, and I say quote unquote charities and charity work in? The reason why a lot of people hated Kevin Durant, no, I did not believe burning KD's jersey was cool when he left OKC. I was never cool with that. That sounded weird. But the reason why they boo him every time he goes to OKC wasn't because he didn't have a right to do what he wanted to do. It's how he went about it. I don't care if he went to Golden State. But, man, don't sit there and this man shitted on those OKC fans. A lot of those kids who were like little kids back then looked at him as an idol. They looked at him as being like their role model. He was a dude that was in their communities. And yes, he doesn't owe nobody anything. But the reason why he was hated was how he handled it. It wasn't so back that he went to the Warriors. It's how he handled it. When LeBron left Cleveland the first time, he did it with such a cold heart. He didn't care. He went back and was torched the Cavaliers the next year, had that 38-point game where they beat them like 50 points in Cleveland. Like, why do y'all care so much? Like, I don't understand why players feel like they have to dictate where y'all go. And then you sit there and say the Celtics were the first original super team. No, we weren't. No, the Celtics were not the first original super team. It was the Miami Heat in 2010. When you look at Chris Bosh at that time, you look at Dwayne Wade, who was already a champion at that time, and then obviously LeBron James, that's a super team. Tell me that's not a super team. You're lying to yourself. You're lying to yourself. And then you add a champion like Ray Allen, you're lying to yourself. That was a super team. The Celtics had Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, and Garnett. The reason why it's not a super team is simple. The definition of how it was done was a super team. Danny Ainge traded for Kevin Garnett. He traded the farm for Kevin Garnett. All right. Paul Pierce was already there. So he didn't go anywhere. And then Ray was traded. None of those guys were freely able, for the exception of Pierce, none of those guys were freely able to go run to another team. That's why it's not a super team. If you're going based on a very definition of a super team, Kevin Garnett didn't have any dictation where he was going to go, other than the fact that he said the only way he'll go to Boston is if Ray Allen goes there. Other than that, he didn't have any. If Minnesota didn't want to do the trade, he would have been playing in Minnesota the next year. Because they weren't going to trade him to LA. I'll tell you that right now. But Kale's definitely not going to trade. He hates the Lakers. He was never going to trade him to the Lakers. Ever. It didn't matter what the Lakers. And the Lakers didn't necessarily have any packages for him at that time. They had no packages for Kevin Garnett, man. Kevin Garnett was still under contract. He was not going to be able to go nowhere but Boston or nowhere. And then Ray was traded. He was under contract for Seattle. He was traded to Boston. He didn't re-sign with Boston till 2010. He signed a 2-year deal after we lost in the finals. Then he fell shortchanged the second time, but he wasn't signed as free agents. Blake Griffin needed to get his fucking mind right. And plus, Garnett wasn't. If you really want to be honest, the Celtics only got one real prime year of Garnett, and that was in 08. After that, Garnett was pretty good. He wasn't Kevin Garnett. He wasn't Minnesota Garnett like that. You know what I mean? He was Minnesota Garnett, then you would have been like, okay, that's a super team. But it wasn't a super team. Paul Pierce was still the best player in that team. He was the most effortless scorer, decent defender. Garnett was a better defender than all of them, but Paul was a better all-around player, and he was just their, he was the rock for Boston. Pierce, I mean. Ray at that point in his career hit a lot of big shots. But let's not act like Ray Allen was Ray Allen. Ray Allen wasn't Ray Allen at that time. If you're gonna look at, he was coming off 2 injury-riddled seasons, ankle surgery, and he wasn't that 25-point per game Ray Allen anymore. Now the reason why I mentioned Ray Allen in Miami, and the reason why it's a super team in that sense, I'll explain it to you. LeBron James and Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade was already there. LeBron signed, and Bosh signed. That right there is a super team. Chris Bosh was in his prime. Bosh was like 25 years old at the time. Wade was already like 27 or 28, already won a title. LeBron James was 25, 26 years old. LeBron had never won a title yet. You understand? And then the way you also got to take into consideration that not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, so he even made a declaration with a little dab of evidence. And then Ray obviously joined them after losing to them. He went and joined them. So Ray was still an effective player, and he joined them as a role player at that point. But he was still good enough to average about 13, 14 a game if he really wanted to with his talent. Him at 14 a game was like a 25-point game scorer for what the role you were asking Ray Allen to come off the bench. So you literally were even more unstoppable. You still had Chalmers. You had Bosh. You had Mike Miller. You had this is a team that went on a 27-game winning streak that year. A lot of people forget about that. They went on a 27-game win streak that year until the Bulls beat them when Nate Robinson was there and they beat them. Other than that, they were damn near untouchable that year. And that was their second title run. I'm not going to sit there and tell me the Celtics were the first super team. That's crazy. What free agent did we sign? What free agent in that whole situation, what free agent did we sign? What player in that situation had free will to do whatever the hell they wanted? I'll wait. Blake Griffin is wilding. And that's all I got to say. I'm not doing any more of this. Like, he wilding. I'm tired of Blake Griffin. I'm tired of all these players capping. Just call it like it is. I just want to group up and be with my boy. That's it. I just want to go and be with people I get along with. I want to be in a town with nice weather or a town that has a lot of scenery. I don't want to play in Detroit. I don't want to play in Memphis. Just call it like it is. I respect you a lot more. You just say, yeah, I just want to play with my boys. I know the old guys don't really fuck with it, but you know what? I don't care. I don't really care about being competitive. I don't ever win a title the rest of my life. I don't care. If I do, I do. I just get an easy title. Just admit it. You're a millionaire and admit that you lack competitive edge. You don't take the game seriously, Blake. You never really ever did. That's why people never took you seriously for being a number 1 pick. It turned out that Steph Curry was the best player in that draft. He was pick 7. So 7th or 8th. So it is what it is, man. It is what it is. I listen to the source, people. Listen to the source. These guys are all either pro LeBron, or they're all pro KD. And those are the 2 best players of that generation. It's not even close. LeBron and KD are the 2 best players of that 2000, all the way to 2010s class. It's KD. KD and LeBron. So, Gold Squad TV, leave your comments down below. What do you think of this cheap-ass comment by Blake Griffin, blaming the Celtics and saying the Celtics were the first super team? Gold Squad TV, leave your comments down below. Subscribe, leave a like. Peace.